Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix. Yes, F1 is finally back from its annual summer break and back to kick off a run of 10 races in 14 weeks, including one standalone event, 3 doubleheaders and 1 tripleheader between now and the end of November. It's all about to get very busy once again. And okay, maybe it's because we've had no F1 action for a month, but I'm really looking forward to this weekend and this final phase of the season, actually. Yeah, the championship may well be a foregone conclusion, but there is so much intrigue going on behind, and I am so excited for it. But enough of all of that waffle, let's get on with the preview, starting as we always do with a look at the circuit and all the usual stats that follow. So, last time out, F1 was in Belgium for the, Belgian Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen took his 10th win of the season and 8th win in a row, leading home Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. But now it is on to the Netherlands for the 13th race of the 2023 season. A lap of the wonderful circuit Zandvoort is 4.259 kilometers long. If you work in miles, that is just over 2.64 and is made up of 14 corners with a race lap record of a 111.097 set by Lewis Hamilton in 2021. And come Sunday, we are set to see a total of 72 racing laps. As was the case last year, there will be 2 DRS zones to help improve the chances of some overtaking, and frankly, it's going to be needed because it is a very tight and twisty layout and it's tough to overtake. The first zone runs from the exit of turn 10 to turn 11, and the final zone starts between turns 13 and 14, runs through that final corner and down the start-finish straight. As I've already said, this is not an easy track to pass on, so the best place to make a move is absolutely at the end of those DRS zones. Since its first appearance on the F1 calendar as a World Championship event back in 1952, Zandvoort has hosted 32 races, with Jim Clark taking the most victories at the track with 4, Alberto Ascari taking the first win, and Max Verstappen taking the most recent victory, as he led home George Russell by just over 4 seconds, and Charles Leclerc took the final step on the podium for Ferrari last year. And this weekend is a big one for Verstappen. Not only is it his home Grand Prix, but he could match the record for the most consecutive wins in a season, which is 9. And that was set by Sebastian Vettel back in 2013. The Dutchman, of course, making it 8 in a row last time out, so a win this weekend and in Monza, and that record is all his. Max could also become the first driver since Jim Clark in 1965 to win 3 races on the bounce at Zandvoort. Pole position on Saturday would also make it 3 poles in a row for the Dutchman at the circuit. It's all about the number 3, and that is awfully convenient because 3 is also the number of dry tyre compounds available for drivers to use across a race weekend. Oh yes, for the first time in a month, it is tyre talk time once again. Don't lie, I know you've missed them really. The compounds available for this one are towards the harder end of the range, so they are the hard C1, the medium C2, and the soft C3, which although they have changed, the C1 being a new softer construction this year than it was in 2022, it is the same nomination as last year. So Zandvoort is a very demanding track for the tyres, thanks in part to the banking at turns 3 and 14, which are both taken at high speed, meaning sustained combined forces, both downforce and lateral demands, are put on the car. Vertical forces are also a challenge for the tyres as they increase due to the high speed carried through those banked corners. And actually, over the course of the lap, the rears and the left front do take one hell of a pounding, so high downforce will be important to try and help look after the tyres, especially the rears, as traction is also a huge factor around the circuit. Another thing to consider is the grip, which can, like we see in Bahrain, be affected by sand from the coast, in this case blowing onto the circuit. Last year's race did feature 2 safety car periods, 1 full and 1 virtual, which did have an impact on race strategy. The top 3 drivers, and 14 overall, each used every dry compound available to them during the race, with winner Max Verstappen starting on the softs, moving to the mediums on lap 18, switching to the hards on lap 48 before putting the softs on his car on lap 56, for a grand total of 3 pit stops. Pirelli does say, though, that the fastest strategy on paper at least is a 2-stopper, but with good tyre management, a 1-stop race is also possible, especially if we get no interruptions, the majority of the grid, by the way, making that work in 2021. Last year's fastest pit stop was 2.09 seconds carried out by Red Bull, and the total pit lane lost time in 2022 was mostly between 18 and 21 seconds, according to the FIA pit stop summary. The nature of the track means that in theory, safety cars are likely. However, there isn't actually a lot of data to go off. As already mentioned, last year's race featured a full and virtual safety car period, but we didn't see one the previous year, and the safety car hadn't even officially been introduced to F1 when the last Dutch Grand Prix took place prior to its return to the calendar in 2021. Again, though, it's a tight and twisty track, so we could easily see one if we get an incident. When it comes to the weather, it looks like we're in for another mixed weekend. As I sit here and record this, which is, as ever, Wednesday afternoon, the forecast says there is rain in the air on Friday, but there is a fairly low risk of any of it falling during either of the practice sessions, with highs for FP1 and FP2 currently expected to hit 20 and 19 degrees respectively. On Saturday, it looks set to be wet for FP3 with a 75% chance of showers and highs of 18 degrees. As for qualifying, the risk of rain drops quite a lot to 25%, with temperatures set to be around 19 degrees for the start of that session. When it comes to the race on Sunday, though, there is a high of 18 degrees expected in time for lights out and a maximum of a 50% risk of any rain falling at some stage during the race. Could go either way. Like I always say, though, things could easily change between now and the weekend, and I know this is going to come as a massive shock to some of you, but believe it or not, weather forecasts have been known to be wrong occasionally, but that's what they say right now. And your schedule for this one is around about the usual European times, practice sessions and qualifying being an hour earlier than we'll see next weekend at Monza, for example, but the race time is the same. So, FP1 on Friday will get the weekend started at 11:30 a.m. BST, and the second practice session will take place later that afternoon at 3 p.m. The third and final practice session gets the Saturday F1 action going at 10:30 a.m. with qualifying underway from 2 p.m. And on Sunday, it is lights out for the race, also at 2 p.m, and once again, that is in UK time. Now, before I move on, it has been a quiet summer by F1 standards, so not much relevant stuff to go over in the news, but there are a couple of things I think are well worth a mention ahead of the weekend. First up, Robert Shwartzman will be back behind the wheel of a Ferrari this weekend as he takes Carlos Sainz's place for FP1 on Friday. Frederick Vasseur also confirmed that he will get another chance later this year, most likely in Abu Dhabi, where he will drive Charles Leclerc's car during the first practice session. All of that, of course, to fulfill the obligation to run a rookie in 2 practice sessions over the course of a season. Vasseur also explained that it was Sainz's decision to offer up his seat, adding that they wouldn't want to make the switch in Singapore, Japan or Las Vegas, and with the sprints in Austin, Qatar and Brazil as well, there aren't actually many more opportunities to put him in the car. No other teams have announced any FP1 driver changes for Zandvoort at time of recording, by the way, but it is set to be a busy final 10 races with several teams still to announce their rookie driver plans. Alfa Romeo will be running a special livery at Zandvoort this weekend. Throughout the event, the hand-painted Boogie Art car will be on display in the fan zone and will even take to the track at some stage, and there are a number of events taking place across the weekend as well. However, that version and the version available in the F1 game will not be used during the competitive action, with Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu instead running a tribute livery which features some of Boogie's art, and that will also be reflected in the team's garage panelling, nameboards and the driver race suits. There will be some images hopefully on screen now for you to take a look at, but as I sit here and record this, I haven't yet seen the design. However, it is apparently essentially the same livery they usually run, but with some graffiti, including the drivers' names in various spots on the car. But let me know what you think about it down below. And finally for this part, yes, it really has been that quiet. Gunther Steiner has confirmed that Haas will continue to update the VF23 this season, and that new parts will be on the car for Zandvoort. Explaining why the team will keep working on this year's car rather than shifting full focus to next year's design, Steiner said there were 2 reasons. The first, and I think most obvious one, is that they simply want to make the car go quicker. No great surprises there. But secondly, so they can know the direction they want to go for the 2024 car. He added, quote, "There is a lot of hard work going on. It's almost as intense as being in December developing the new car." The Haas boss couldn't give a time frame for future updates in 2023, however he did confirm that the car will feature changes to the front wing and the brake ducts this weekend. As I always say in these previews though, keep an eye out on the car presentations ahead of the weekend to see what other teams have brought with them to Zandvoort, especially McLaren, because although nothing has been confirmed in their preview, there are some upgrades due which could arrive this weekend, or maybe Monza. We'll find out soon enough though, I am sure. Right then, time for me to make some predictions, and as always, please do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And do you know what? I'm actually pretty pleased with how my last lot went. I was right on shootout P1, sprint and race winner Perez for P2, and yes, I have taken half a point for Verstappen setting the fastest lap in Friday qualifying, even if he didn't get pole position on Sunday. This week, I'm just going to do one lot, my fairly realistic picks, and so these aren't going to be massively surprising, but I'll try and make them a little bit more interesting. More on that in a second. First of all, though, yes, I do think Max Verstappen will equal Sebastian Vettel's record this weekend. Not only is he absolutely dominating this season, you might have noticed, but he's also won the last 2 races at Zandvoort and taken both pole positions. So I fully expect him to do that again this time around. The only way he doesn't win this one, in my opinion anyway, is if he makes a mistake, Red Bull have a reliability issue or a surprise safety car or red flag cause some chaos, something like that. Otherwise, I don't see anybody stopping him. Even if Mercedes, for example, were to take pole position, I still think he'll have the pace to win, even though it's not the easiest track to pass on. Behind Verstappen, though, I will go with Sergio Perez to help make it 3 podiums on the bounce, complete another Red Bull 1-2, and maybe relieve some of that pressure everyone keeps talking about. As for the final step on the podium, I am going to put a McLaren there, but to make it interesting, I'll go with Oscar Piastri. Okay, some of you might argue that Lando Norris would be the safer pick there, but I've been feeling for a while now that Piastri's first proper podium is close, and it would be fantastic to see him get that this weekend. Having said that, it's just dawned on me, isn't this his first time at Zandvoort? So that might be quite a tricky thing to do. I don't know now. No, I've said it, so let's stick with it. So that's Verstappen for pole and the win, Perez P2 and Piastri P3. Top of the midfield this week, so 6th place team after Sunday. I've gone with Alpine again, and my bold picks or guesses, I suppose, for this one. They're all guesses, aren't they? But you know what I mean. Let's say Fernando Alonso grabs a top 5 finish for the 2nd race in a row. Alfa Romeo get at least 1 car into Q3. That feels quite bold, but I'm going to go with it anyway. And do you know what? Yeah, let's say we get lots of chaos and Logan Sargent gets the opportunity to grab his first F1 World Championship point. And yes, I realise that probably requires quite a lot of drama, but you never know and all that. What I do know, though, is that is it for the Dutch Grand Prix preview. Oh, no, I've started new segues. But don't forget to let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. And if you don't fancy doing that, how about leaving me an emoji to let me know where you're watching from this weekend? I'm just intrigued, that's all. Now, I will be back on Saturday evening with the post-quali waffle and then live again shortly after the race on Sunday with the usual reaction stream. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel's fight with the pesky YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.